I'm going to make this video about the power of trauma. This one sounds really, really bad. But I wanted to really address the idea and the question of, hey, I've gone through experiences that have made me feel negative, made me feel bad, made me feel pain. And I feel like life is unfair for putting me through those situations. What's the benefit of going through pain in life? And I think the real chip, the hunger to change things, is created by trauma to a large degree. It gives us this really, really, really powerful energy. And it in a way could be damaging to our peace. I'm not here to deny that, but I think that if you were given an experience that generated trauma for you, it is one of the most powerful and productive emotions, if used correctly, that it can make you move faster for whatever you do. I'm not sitting here to say trauma is good. I'm not sitting here to say and invalidate anyone's experiences. I'm sitting here to really think, if you were put in a situation in your life out of your control that gave you trauma, how do you best move with that and move in a positive outlook? And based on, experiences that have caused a lot of pain to me, I've realized it does not feel good. And for a lot of cases, these things can be recurring. But I beat myself up so much about it because I always think that pain is a net negative. Pain is a bad thing. And I shouldn't go through it. And the ideal case in my life is not having to go through experiences that make me feel bad. But now that I realized, I think about it, all the times I've gone the craziest and had the most hunger came from an amount of trauma or grief or pain that I've dealt with. Maybe not immediately, but once the trauma or the grief or the pain gets processed completely, it will turn into a power that is a net positive, that beats the neutral pace that you're moving at normally. So basically, trauma is a very powerful emotion. If you don't get through it, it will work against you and powerfully push you back. If you work through it, it will turn into the opposite and powerfully boost you. And you might ask, well, I still didn't ask for traumatic experiences, and that is a completely fair statement. But if you had no choice to ask for the traumatic experience, how do you move in your life without comparing yourself to people who don't have trauma? And the way I thought of it is hey, trauma creates a hunger when flipped correctly that people who don't go through trauma don't have. A level of hunger that people who don't go through that trauma just genuinely don't have. So next time you're in an experience, and I have to remind myself too, because I really made this for myself, to remind myself, next time you're in an experience that creates an amount of pain, an amount of grief, an amount of trauma that you didn't ask for and you don't want to experience, understand that it just creates the essence of what trauma is this just crazy emotion. It's this uncontrollable. I don't know if anyone plays Smash Bros, but there's a master hand and there's a crazy hand. It's like the crazy hand. It's just this uncontrollable, undefinable energy. And what it really is a threat to more than anything is your peace. Trauma is a threat to your peace. However, what I'm trying to point out with this video is it's not a threat to your productivity. Interestingly enough, it is actually a chaotic force for your productivity, either negative or positive, but it is chaotically positive if used correctly. It is still, I guess, a threat to your peace, but finding a positive use for the trauma can actually mitigate the real threat you have on your peace. If you can find a positive within the emotion itself and be like, okay, now I've out of my choice, I've been faced with an emotion that is very powerful, very loud in my body, but it can do really good things that with me not having it wouldn't be able to do. So I obviously didn't want this. I'm in an experience that gives me trauma, but now I have this uncontrollably chaotic energy inside me, and I can use this to get ahead on my goals. Might as well take advantage of it if it's going to happen anyway, if you're going to get the trauma anyway. And then you're like, wait a second, this is not as much of a threat to my peace as I thought it was, because the reason I originally thought and identified this trauma as a threat to my peace is because I thought it was a net negative on my life. But now redefining trauma as a chaotic force that is going to be negative sometimes, positive sometimes, but you need to kind of dance with a chaotic dancer who's really off sync and doesn't know how to dance. You just need to follow the moves. If you can understand the rhythm of the trauma, you can move it in the direction you want and actually move faster. It's a car that doesn't know how to drive on the actual street, but it's still going somewhere. So get in the car, and jump out when you need to. But basically, realizing that there is a productive and positive use for more trauma, more pain, actually calms your nervous system down because you're not seeing the trauma as much of a threat as it is, because now it's a neutral chaotic versus a net negative, which is what we see trauma, what we see anxiety, what we see these things as. And the more we villainize trauma, the more we villainize grief, pain, and the more we see these things as things with no net positive, the more scary and the more anxiety, the more grief, the more trauma we're going to feel off of having trauma. And we're going to self-actualize that trauma, self-actualize that grief, and it's this never-ending cycle that's just going to cause you more pain. But if you're like, hey, life is a certain way, there's periods where you're comfortable and there's periods when the storm is there, but even during the storm, there are net positives. I can use the aspects of the trauma, aspects of the chaos to get farther in my life that I normally wouldn't be able to do. It's like, oh shit, I didn't ask for it to rain today, but shit, I got an umbrella and it's been a drought anyway. You know, like understanding that trauma is like rain, but sometimes there's a drought. And trauma will create that hunger and that powerful energy, whether you like it or not. And sometimes it's just going to enter your life, and you just gotta. Sometimes it's like you're driving a car, and sometimes the car will randomly ramp up, just and just speed up to a level you don't feel comfortable. Now the car is driving at 100 miles per hour. You only wanted to do 60, but shit, you're at 100. So either drive. So find out where the hell your goal is and just drive faster, so at least you can get farther. So use it. My point is use it. I think that's what I'm discovering right now. Because right now I had an experience in my life, a very annoying, negative experience happened today. And I made this video because of it. You know, I literally made this to cheer myself up. Because I didn't want to feel what I felt today. I didn't want what happened to happen today, but it did. I won't get too much into that, but my point is I used it. I used it for this video. I'm using it now to probably create a couple more videos that I wouldn't have normally been able to create. It was chaotic, but I understood it. I danced with it, and now we're moving in the direction we need to, and we're moving faster than we normally would have. So use the aspects of your trauma. Obviously, you didn't ask for it. I'm not saying that to invalidate your pain, but I'm just saying if we're faced with moments with grief, pain, trauma, we need to use them because we're going to get them anyway. We can't change how we were interacting with those things. We can't be like, I wish this didn't happen. I mean, we can. It doesn't make it not happen. So use everything you have.